Once upon a time, in the heart of a lush green forest lived a family of 3 bears. There was a papa bear, a mama bear, and their little baby bear. So she gathered all her courage and went to their home. They were known to be the cuddliest bears in the whole wide forest. One day, while they were having their brunch, Goldilocks decided that she wanted to pay them a surprise visit. No one was at home, though, so she decided to take a peek inside. To her surprise, she found an empty house. But before we start with the story, if you love fairy tales, make sure to subscribe so you never miss out on any of our magical adventures. Startled by the sudden noise, Goldilocks hid under the table. It was way too beautiful for Goldilocks to resist, and she tried it on immediately. It fit her perfectly. He had no idea that Goldilocks was hiding under the table. She knocked on the door, and Goldilocks was very pleased with herself for being so brave. And just as she entered the house, she noticed a beautiful golden ball gown hanging on a chair. She then started to twirl around the room in the golden gown, and suddenly she heard a loud voice saying, "Who's in my chair?" The door then opened, and in came Papa Bear. He looked all around, but couldn't see anyone. Suddenly, she heard a voice saying, "Who's looking out of my window?" It was Baby Bear. She was very scared, but her curiosity got the best of her, and she decided to explore the house some more. And he went to his corner to play with his toys. She was feeling a bit hungry at this point, and decided to go to the kitchen to find something to eat. Baby Bear entered the room, and was confused to see the window open. One bowl was big, one was medium, and the last one was small. "Oh, maybe it was just my imagination," said Papa Bear. The first 2 bowls were too hot, but the third one was just right. "I must have been daydreaming," and he went back outside. As soon as Papa Bear stepped out of the house, Goldilocks came out from under the table. She walked over to a full-length mirror on the wall and saw her reflection wearing the beautiful golden gown. She looked like a real princess. Suddenly, she heard a voice saying, "Who's wearing my gown?" This time, it was Mama Bear. Goldilocks panicked and ran and hid behind the curtains. He looked around the kitchen and couldn't find anyone. "Who's eating my porridge?" Goldilocks panicked and ran to hide behind the refrigerator. She sat down on the big chair, and it was too hard. She sat on the medium chair, and it was too soft. But when she sat on the small chair, it was just right. Baby Bear entered the room and was surprised to see the small chair slightly pushed back. She thought that maybe it was just her imagination and went out of the room. She laid down on it, and it was too hard. Then she laid down on the other side, and it was too soft. But right in the middle, it was just right. They always sneak into my house and try to steal my food. And he went to his room to get away from the prying eyes of the forest animals. It was Baby Bear. "It always blows in through the window and messes up my house." And she went to the living room to look for her friend, Owl. She decided to leave the house and go back to her own home. Mama Bear entered the room and was confused to see her gown on, but no one around. "I guess I was just hungry," and he went to the living room to relax. You see, my family and I haven't eaten all day because we were waiting for our friend, Rabbit, to bring us some food from the forest. And now you've eaten most of it. Goldilocks came out from behind the curtains and was amazed by how beautiful Mama Bear's gown was. She tried it on, and it fit her perfectly. When he saw Goldilocks sleeping peacefully on his couch, he was a little angry. She admired herself in the mirror and then went to the window to look at her reflection. We understand that you didn't mean any harm. But since you've already eaten most of our food, we don't have enough for you, Rabbit, and our family. So why don't you come along with us to the market and pick out some fresh ingredients for dinner? We'll make enough food for everyone. Goldilocks was excited to go to the market because she had never been there before. Startled, Goldilocks jumped and quickly hid under the bed. Yes, you can come over tomorrow, but only if you promise to ask before eating or drinking anything. Maybe it was just the wind, said Baby Bear. I must be imagining things. I didn't mean to break your chair or eat your porridge. Can I please come over again tomorrow and play with you? I was just curious about your house, and I couldn't resist trying on your mother's beautiful golden gown. I'm really sorry for everything. She knew that she had been rude by entering the house and using their things without asking. When Baby Bear left the room, Goldilocks came out from under the bed. She opened the fridge and saw 3 bowls of porridge on the top shelf. Goldilocks was happy to have made new friends, and she couldn't wait to tell her family about it. She didn't know which bowl to choose, so she started tasting them one by one. Just as she finished the last spoonful of porridge, she heard a loud voice saying, "In came Papa Bear, who was famished after a morning of playing." "It must have been my imagination," said Papa Bear. Goldilocks came out from behind the refrigerator and was surprised to see that someone had eaten a big portion of her porridge. But before she could, she heard a voice saying, "Who's in my house?" It was Mama Bear. Startled, Goldilocks hid under the dining table. Mama Bear entered the kitchen and noticed that some of her porridge was missing. "It must have been the wind," said Mama Bear. Goldilocks came out from under the table and decided to take a quick peek at the living room before leaving. In the living room, she saw 3 chairs, 1 big, 1 medium, and 1 small. She wanted to try out the couch next, but before she could, she heard a voice saying, "Who's sitting in my chair?" Goldilocks jumped off the chair and ran to hide behind the curtain. "Maybe it was just a mouse," said Baby Bear. Goldilocks came out from behind the curtain and cautiously made her way to the couch. She decided to take a nap on the couch and soon fell fast asleep. Meanwhile, Baby Bear came out of his room to check if the intruder was still in the living room. "Who are you and what are you doing in my house?" he asked Goldilocks. Startled, Goldilocks woke up and was taken aback by the angry expression on Baby Bear's face. Before she could say anything, Baby Bear continued, "You broke my chair and ate my porridge. And to top it all, you're sleeping on my couch. How dare you?" Goldilocks felt tears freaking at her eyes, but she tried her best to hold them back. "I'm sorry, Baby Bear," she said. Baby Bear was taken aback by Goldilocks' apology. He had never seen a human admit her mistake before. Usually they would just run away, without saying sorry. He thought for a moment, and then said, "Well, I forgive you for breaking my chair, but I can't forgive you for eating my porridge." Goldilocks felt guilty for eating Baby Bear's porridge, but she didn't know what to do. At that moment, Mama Bear entered the room and asked, "What happened, Baby Bear? Why are you so upset?" Baby Bear explained everything to Mama Bear, and she, too, was disappointed in Goldilocks for eating their food. "I'm sorry, Mama Bear and Papa Bear," said Goldilocks. "I didn't mean to eat your food. I just got carried away." Papa Bear, who had been listening to their conversation from the doorway, said, "It's all right, Goldilocks." Goldilocks was relieved that they had forgiven her, and she happily agreed to go to the market with them. The four of them left the house and headed towards the market. On the way, she gathered all her courage and asked the bears. Baby Bear was hesitant at first, but seeing how nice Goldilocks was being, he agreed. Goldilocks promised, and the five of them continued on their way to the market. At the market, Goldilocks picked out some vegetables and fruits for the bears, and also brought along some delicious snacks for her family. After buying all their stuff, they headed back home. That's all for today, friends. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.